Hi there, I'm James. This is the Living for Crits channel, and thank you so much for joining me for this video. I was thinking of putting this on Twitch. I didn't want all the commentary though at the same time, because most of my videos I've been doing lately are like simulcast on Twitch and YouTube. But this one's a little different, and it's something I've wanted to discuss for a while. Actually, for several years, I wanted to have this conversation and get it out there to people. And I've discussed doing it in a blog post or doing it maybe in a book or something, but I don't have that kind of training or ability or whatnot. In fact, everything I'm going to be discussing right now has nothing to do with any kind of expertise. I am not a doctor or a psychologist or anything but someone who's had their own challenges with uh, social anxiety and depression and those forms of mental illness for like 25 years. It doesn't qualify me for something just having to go through it. I don't know what does. I guess if I was a psychiatrist, that would qualify me for more. But I wanted to put a video out. I wanted to put something out for those of you that might be looking to step into gaming, tabletop role playing, whether in person or online, or might be wanting to run games as a game master or a dungeon master if you play D&D, or heard of either D&D or it's dungeon master. Or if it's other role playing games, it could be judge or game master or referee. If you want to step into those roles, you want to get to the table, but you don't feel like you can, that it's something you want to do, and you see other people doing it, and maybe you're afraid to do it, or you don't know how to take the first steps. And you know personally for me, as time has gone on, facing challenges through the years, and I've been playing games and running games for years, since before I had any inkling of what was going on in my head and in my body with anxiety. I was playing games prior to that, so I can't speak to someone who discovers the hobby after. I don't know what you're facing, but I can kind of give you an idea on my side of what I've done, some of my story. Because for me, if I know people out there understand what I'm going through, I have an easier time. Like, I like to know that like other people, I like to meet other people who face the same challenges that I do. I feel more comfortable for some reason, and maybe you do as well. And I don't know if I've always debated why I should be talking about this or not. There's always that stigma that folks that have any kind of mental illness shouldn't be talking about it, and it should be like repressed. You shouldn't have that conversation, and keep it to yourself. And I don't think it's. I think in 2020, if there's one thing we should be doing right now, with all of the craziness going on around us and the pandemic and whatnot, if there's something you want to do, you should do it if you can. And I can check this box off my list. This is a bucket list item for me, is to have this conversation. Because at the very least, as time goes on, I'm hoping that a couple of you might benefit from knowing there's someone out there that wants to talk about this, and someone that wants to tell you that you're not alone, and there are many of us. I don't want to say there's more of us than there are of them, but I think there are a lot of us out here, and we got to stick together. So I can remember, for as long as I've been, the 25 years, that feeling. And you know what I'm talking about if you're someone that's faced any kind of anxiety. There's something you can't do something. You just start to shut down. Everything stops. Nothing else matters. If it's leading into some kind of anxiety attack, you have to leave the room, and that fight or flight trigger is going off in your mind, and that something has to change, and nothing matters at that point. Like, you may have to be at that table you're at. If maybe you're at a restaurant, you may be sitting there eating a meal, and all of a sudden something triggers it, and you're like, I can't be here. I have to get up. I have to walk away. And it can make it worse if you feel like you can't go away, if there's a social issue to it, you're afraid of it. You're afraid it the anxiety breeds more anxiety. You're anxious for whatever triggered it, and it gets worse because now what are they going to think about me? What is that person over there going to think about me? You start thinking everyone in the room is looking at you. Uh, I have trouble when I'm, for instance, in those kinds of settings when I'm, um, you know, uh, when I'm around other people, but I'm not a focal point of attention. Like I can't sit. I don't like sitting in a room for a presentation. I hate that more than I hate being in front of people. I love being in front of people. I have no problem being up in front. Like I start, my juices get flowing, and I get real excited when I'm presenting. But if I have to sit there and watch presenters, I have a challenge. If I know I can't leave, that makes it very hard for me. If I know that I can't leave or I shouldn't leave, because the reality is you can leave. No one's physically stopping you from leaving. But I always feel like, oh, there's a social pact I've made that I'm going to sit here through this presentation. For work, it might very well be I can't leave because I'm being paid to be there, but I can leave. It's trying to work that through. Like for me, my challenges are dinner out with people I don't know. I don't like doing that. Very loud, very noisy places tend to bother me. Gen Con can be a challenge for me. I like it for all of the gaming aspects, but there are times that makes it hard for me to be there. I do not like mixers. I do not work the room well. I don't do small talk well, especially people I don't know. So like the thing about gaming and tabletop gaming especially is you're there for a reason, and the reason is to have a good time. You're not there just expecting to meet people. Like it seems so alien and bizarre. I don't know who came up with mixers as being a good idea. Like I can get by at weddings, but I latch on to people. And if you know me outside of this one video, you'll be like, well, he's pretty out there. I think people that know me think I'm an extroverted person, and I am an extrovert. I am a very anxious extrovert that has challenges that maybe people don't know that I have. I have them, and I think that sometimes there is a belief that only introverts have these problems, and I think everyone struggles with their own things in their own different ways. To tell you, but before I get on the next part, like I love GMing so much. It's my favorite thing to do, and of anything related to gaming is to be in front of people and be presenting this awesome gaming experience. And yet, GMing for me can be one of those triggers that sets off my social anxiety. So I've lived this weird existence, maybe, where my favorite thing to do sometimes triggers my least favorite thing to happen up in my brain. And I have good years, I have challenging years, and I believe there's others out there. Some of you right now watching may have that similar experience. And it's weird, isn't it? It's so weird that something you like to do can be tough to do. And yet we keep doing it because it's the love of the game and the love of storytelling. I always, get fascinated by actors and actresses and musicians who struggle with their own challenges. And you'll hear people say things like, well, they were so creative and they were so, especially if like the worst happens to them. Like for me, Robin Williams, when he passed away, I think that, someone taken so short from us, I can't remember exactly what the details were of his passing, but I know that he had a rough time with his own challenges. But he's so happy. He's a creative person. And, I think that sometimes that creativity we have is sparked from that inner conflict. We can build conflict because we exist in conflict. My most conflicting year was 2014 when I decided to go to Gen Con for the first time. And I was so excited in January when I said, I'm going to Gen Con. I got the tickets and everything. But as it got closer, I got more nervous about the experience. So I'm going from never going to Gen Con to going to Gen Con. And I sign up with Monty Cook Games to run 4 events. And I put my own Savage Worlds event on the books as well. I'm running 5 games, 20 hours of gaming at a convention I've never been to. How stupid was I, you know? And I had to, I wanted to be out there though. I was a new blogger in 2014. I had this dream of being a more connected gamer than I probably will ever be. As it got closer, it became more and more challenging for me. I started to dread Gen Con, but I couldn't back out because I had felt like backing away would be failure. I always wanted to be a gamer that was part of the full gaming community. It wasn't enough for me just to play the game. That's why I talk about it. That's why I introduce my children to it. I tried prepping and training for the convention. I had done some therapy, some cognitive behavioral therapy prior to that, and I occasionally will partake in that for stints. And the one person I work with, wanted to make sure I always at least tried something, at least try it, and if you don't like it, you can always leave. You may not think you can leave, but you can leave. There's the door, you can walk out. And it's as easy as that. Nothing's ever stopping you. I'm like, what about the presentation I have to go to for work? Is there a door? Yeah. Then you can leave. Now, should you leave, it's up to you, and you probably should return. But you don't have to say why you left. Just excuse yourself and leave. And okay. But how do you do that for a 4-day event? How do you do that when you've invited friends to come with you? Because I did, and I was the only driver to take them there because it was too much money to put the rental car to split the cost up for multiple drivers. So I was the only driver going out there with was it two friends in the car with me. The night before was the worst. I had done some prep up to that point. I had done a lot of demo games to get more used to gaming for people I didn't know. I was running a game club at the time, so I had a lot of experience running games like for strangers, but it wasn't the same as being at Gen Con. And the night before, I couldn't sleep driving out. And the drive out there, I was a panicked mess. I thought that morning when I hadn't slept, I'd have to cancel. How do I drive 6 hours to Indianapolis from Pittsburgh? But I developed a schedule, and I got to the convention. I got to the scene. I found all the rooms I'd be playing in. I went and found them all out, looked in the rooms, visualized what was going to happen the next day. So my first game was the next afternoon at like noon. And I developed a routine, a rhythm. I planned it out, what each of my day would be. I'd get up, I'd go for a walk, or a run, depending. But it was supposed to be a run. By the end of the convention, it's a walk. I would have some hot green tea. I wouldn't eat because I have a problem with anxiety and eating. Like, I always feel like I'm going to throw it up. I think there's a term like emetophobia, like the fear of being sick or being sick in public, and I have that. So I don't like to eat before any presentation. I don't like to eat before any kind of big GMing event. I've gotten better at that. After I start GMing, I can start eating mid-event. But I wasn't great at it in 2014. I'll probably have a future point where I'm not great at it either. So again, I tend to go like this. I bounce back and forth with having challenges or not having challenges. But the convention became easier for me. And overall, GMing in public has become easier for me. I run road crew events for Goodman Games. I've run public events for Monty Cook Games at other conventions, at Save Against Fear, at PAX Unplugged. Doing it more has made it easier for me, but I had to take those first steps. And I think a lot of you out there, I believe, might be holding back from gaming because of it. And it sucks. There's this shame out there that about having anxiety, and that just makes it worse, and it brings on more and more issues. It brings on more shame and more anxiety. The anxiety, you're ashamed of having the anxiety, right? I know I am. And then you get more anxious, which makes you even more ashamed and more self-conscious. And what are people saying about me? And they're not really saying anything about me, but I think about it a lot. So I know I have some tools that I use, I thought I'd share. And the first is, again, as I said, this is for any gaming. So I'm not just saying this is how you become a GM at Gen Con. I'm just saying I jumped in with both feet to do this in public at Gen Con. I've been gaming for years, but always with smaller groups, never like at Gen Con. But for you, maybe you've never GM'd at all, and now you want to GM for the first time. For you, that is jumping with both feet. It doesn't matter how big it is. Whether it's the first time sitting at a game table as a player in a Dungeons and Dragons game, or you've been gaming for your friends forever, but now you're going to get a PAX Unplugged, maybe not this year, maybe next year when we have less of the coronavirus out, and you want to sign up to run events, but you've never done that before. I've always found that planning, preparing, scheduling, plotting it out makes things easier for me. I write down what I'm going to do. I take as many notes as I can. I have something to go off of. And I visualize what's going to happen. If I'm running a game, I sort of run through what's going to happen in the game. Plot things out. Where do I want to have the players go? It's what every game master does anyway. But it could be, where do I want to have them sit? When do I want to have them, give them a break? I'll give them a break in the first hour, at the end of the first 60 minutes, then the halfway point, and we'll play the way through. I'm going to end the game at 3.5 hours in. Like, for me, control. If I can have control, I can mitigate the anxiety. I like to make sure I've set the table up correctly. Just setting it up as players sit down, I small talk with them, which I'm not good at. But if I can get a laugh out of them, especially the first one, like conquer the first person at the table, introduce myself to them, which I don't like doing. Just know, if I've ever introduced myself to you, I'm very nervous doing it. I forget names, I get all flustered, and I don't like doing that. But I try to make sure each person, as they come, I introduce myself to them. I write down my players' names next to their character names on a sheet like this. So this is a note sheet for a Numenera game I ran for some folks, some of which I had not played with before. And I have the player names and the character names on this side. Things I want to say, like start with thanking the players for coming to the game. I sketch out things just so I don't forget them. Being this kind of organized isn't for everyone, but for those of us maybe who need to have something to lean on, this helps. And you don't forget names. And if you do forget names, it's not a big deal. And if it's the first time at a gaming group and you're just playing with people at a game store for the first time, no one's going to mind. Again, there's someone there at the table with you who's probably feeling very similar to you. The most important thing, though, is to just tell you that you're not alone. Okay, this is totally cool, totally normal. This is a hobby that means you have to get out in front of people to play it, unless you're just going to play a computer game or a video game, role-playing game. You have to be in front of people. Even being online can be a little nerve-wracking, and it's understandable. There are resources for you out there. I mean, whether it's talking to a therapist about just trying to deal with some ways to control or to mitigate your challenges that you're going through, or talking to anyone who will listen. You gotta be careful with that, obviously, because it's so easy for people who don't suffer from any kind of mental illness to just say, well, just talk to me or talk to someone, or you just get out there and have a conversation with friends, and they'll make you feel more comfortable. Just why don't you just relax? I hate that, right? Just relax, have a good time, relax. And it's not that easy, We don't want to talk to people about it because we're nervous about what you're going to think about it. And we can't relax if you tell us to relax. Doesn't work that way. But try your best. And that's all you can really do, is try your best. I'm nervous doing this video right now, but I've always wanted to do it, and now I'm doing it. I'm almost done, too, so I've set my time pretty well. And I've plotted it pretty well, because I made a whole list of what I wanted to say and make sure that I said. For me, I've always felt more comfortable and at rest when I'm around other people who have the same challenges. Like, if I'm talking with someone and they're like, I'm a little anxious for this, I'm like, me too. And then I get less nervous because now we're anxious together, and we can divide and conquer at that point. We are together nervous wrecks, and we're going to get through this event together. Especially if I have other players at the table who are nervous. It's like, oh man, that's great, because you know what, I'm gonna have a better time because I know that they're just trying, and I really still am just trying. As many times as I've run these games, I'm still just trying, and I can help that person and maybe focus them a little differently if I know that they're a little anxious at the table, and then hopefully at some point just say, hey, great playing with you. You looked a little quiet, just so you know, it's no big deal. I'm trying to make you comfortable. Don't want to point out someone, hey, do you have anxiety? No, you don't want to say that, but give the person the opportunity to tell you why they're nervous. But by telling you this right now, I'm telling you all that this is how I feel, and I know you might be going through, and and even though this is just a video, I'm here for you in the best way that I could possibly be, which is just sharing my take on this. And again, not the most professional perhaps, but I if a few of you feel the same, let me know in the comments. If you have similar challenges and you want to share them, let me know. Just say that below, or share this with a friend if you think it's going to help them. And be there for each other. Be there for each other. I can't even finish. I'm trying to finish this properly and I can't do it. Be there for each other. Be there for your friends, the people who might be your friends in the future. Be there for people who aren't your friends. Be there for the people at your gaming table that you've never met before. Just because maybe you'll make a great connection with these folks. Maybe you're just making their day better because they've been more comfortable with you there. But always be aware that you're not alone, and be ready to help those who might be facing the same thing that you're facing. So that's my story. That's my take, and happy to discuss this further if there's any kind of demand for that. But let me know, and have a great night.